if you're getting stressed out and you're hustling or you're feeling like things aren't working or whatever, always come back to what is your mission. Be clear on it, read it every day, and align your actions with it.
Hello and welcome back to episode 152. How are you guys going? Around this time of year, you might either be thinking, yeah, the year is looking bright, everything's going well in quarter one, or you might be thinking, no, I am completely off the rails. So wherever you are, this is a guest that can help. John Merkus is an internationally recognized keynote speaker and podcast host. He has a great voice, by the way. Just wait. That also means he has a meditation app, which makes perfect sense for what he does and his voice. He's an expert in leadership, resilience, and cultivating a positive mindset. He's incredible at helping people to embrace change, to unlock their potential and thrive. He's really amazing. He's going to have some great advice for you, some good little tangible tips and takeaways. And I'm excited to introduce him to you. So no matter how you're feeling today, as you're tuning in from wherever you are in the world, I hope that the conversation that we're about to have will support you in your growth. All right. You guys ready? Let's do it. Let's welcome John. Well, hello, John. Welcome to the show. How are you going?
I am excellent, never been better. Thanks for asking, Heather, and an absolute honour and privilege to be on the show. Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you here. You know, there's the people in my network that say how you answer the question, how are you, is everything. Whether it's, oh yeah, I'm doing all right, or I'm awesome. So you answered it well.
I'm one of those awesome kind of guys. Not bad. I learned a long time ago that not bad. That's not really uplifting to you or others. And words create your world. So there you go.
I'm a big believer and advocate in that as well. So I always like to start the show with some tangible tips, and that's where we're going to start with you. And obviously we'll get into your journey and what you do and the amazing mark you're leaving on the world. But to start, what are a few tips that you personally use to grow your own business, your own movement with less of that hustle energy and more balance?
Yeah, great question. And I love getting right into it as well, giving the audience value straight off the bat. So I have a few things that I live by, my top tips that I also walk and embrace myself. So I'm not going to tell you anything that I don't do. And first one is be kind to yourself. You know, remember there's always more that you could do. There's always more to be done. You know, I heard it's an expression, you're going to die with items in your inbox. Don't let that create negative self-talk when you do have things that you might not have done. There's no need to beat yourself up. All you need to do is as much as you can every day, stay consistent, because growth doesn't happen overnight. It's with steady, focused effort that you make progress. So be kind to yourself is my first tip. My second one is get a coach. I'm serious about this. I didn't have a coach for a while. In the last few years, I've had a coach, and it's been invaluable for providing support and clarity. When you're in the bottle, you can't see the label. So a coach helps you see what you might miss and provides that perspective and guidance, especially when you're in this entrepreneurial or you're in a bigger business, wherever you are, it can feel isolating at times. So having a coach, someone that knows you, that's on your side, cheering for you, they're so important. It's made a massive difference in my life. Sometimes you think family and friends are going to take that position or about being your biggest advocates, but that's not often the case. And when you have a coach, they're trained, they understand, they're cheering you on, and your success is their success. So have a coach in your corner is another tip that I have.
Excellent. Do you have any more for us?
Yeah, I've actually got two. Can I give you two more?
Yeah, these are great. I love them so far. I'll have some questions for you about them in a second, but yeah, go on.
Sure. Stay true to your mission. is the other one about. So if you're getting stressed out and you're hustling or you're feeling like things aren't working or whatever, always come back to what is your mission. Be clear on it, read it every day and align your actions with it. So if something comes up that doesn't contribute to your mission, don't do it. So this is what I've found about the more we take on, the more we can get a bit stressed and go, oh, I can't do all of this, or I'm this. And then if you pare it back and go, well, my mission is to empower people and organisations to embrace change, build resilience and thrive. So if something comes in, let's say a investing in real estate course comes up, I'm going to say no to that because it's not true to my mission. And as much as that interests me, or I think, oh, that sounds great, it's not true to my mission, and it might steer me off course to where I really want to go. So I would definitely recommend people staying true to their mission, read it every day, and align your actions to it.
That's brilliant. I'm going to actually say something on that as well, because that's that whole shiny object syndrome. And right now, I cannot tell you how many people, business owners I come across that are like, oh my gosh, I just bought this course on AI. And did you know there are these 5 AI tools? And I'm like, okay, are you wanting to become an AI expert or are you not? It's such an interesting perspective and such a solid point, because you can work an entire year and feel like you've not done anything if you go down those wormholes, right?
Yeah, I totally agree. And I'm all for investing in yourself, in your growth and learning. But as you're suggesting, does that align with your mission?
Yeah, well said.
And really, really important. And I love that example. Now, the last one I want to give, this is really my kind of jam, so to speak, is mindset is everything. Like, absolutely everything. You know, you've got to enjoy every day. And, you know, it's a cliche, but enjoy the journey, right? Because the success or the feelings that you have when you actually achieve your goal, that's just a small sample of the time and the timeline that it took to getting there. So the real juice is actually in enjoying what you need to do and the time that you take and the actions that you take in achieving your goal. And if you are waiting to feel that joy and enjoying every day, I'll be fine, you know, when my bank account's this, or I'll be fine when I've got 1,000 clients, or I'll be this, I'll be that. You're ripping yourself off. Yeah. You know, it's said that it's not achieving the goal that defines the success, your success. It's the person you become along the way. So there are my top tips for growing your business with less hustle and more balance.
I love it. Thank you. I'm going to ask you a question about tip 2 around finding a coach.
Yes.
Because there are a lot of coaches out there. And what are your tips about finding the right coach for you?
Yeah, thanks, Heather. Great question. I realise there's probably more coaching courses out there than actual coaches, right?
Yes.
And maybe there might be more people that want to be coaches than there are clients that want to be coached. Now, I'm a big advocate in having a coach and growing that cohort of people that do get coached because of the reasons we explained before. Now, I'm very fortunate in that I had a friend who I've known for 25 years. We did some personal development courses together when I was in Sydney. She was always, her name's Karina Murphy. She's been a guest on my show before, and she's my coach again this year.
Nice.
And she was always giving great advice, always. It was just in her DNA to want to help people and give really sage advice. And she was always, and continues to, always learn and grow herself. So you want to find a coach that's doing that themselves. It's not like, I'm done now I can let you know how it all is. They're continually growing, learning as well. And so when Karina decided to get a formal qualification in this area, so she invested the time and money into herself to get that qualification, because anyone can call themselves a coach, which I understand. So I would recommend, if you can get a third-party referral, someone that has a qualification in being a coach, And a lot of coaches will give you a bit of a free trial as well. So you want to get on well with them. And so that's what I would recommend in getting a coach. And in Karina, I'm lucky that I know Karina for so long. And she was already kind of doing it and then turned that into a vocation. And she's one of the best in the business.
I love that you said the third-party referral, the endorsement as well. That's not ever going anywhere. I mean, especially as we move ahead, I think trusting in your networks and those around you. And one more thing, John, every single successful person that I know that is somewhat balanced as best as we can and living life fully, all have a coach. I totally agree. Or they're in a mastermind group. I ebb and flow. I'm in a mastermind group right now, a small group of people, and then I'll go to a coach. And it's just, it is life-changing. Like you said, you know, there's something about the label, and like you can't read the label when you're in the bottle. And look at all the athletes. We have the Australian Open going on right now. They all have a coach on the sidelines going, no, you move your body like that. It's a necessity. So thank you for having that little side conversation with me.
No problem. I'm a big advocate like you for a coach. And people like us, we want to learn and grow. So if that's a recommendation and we can see high-performance people and teams do that, well, why don't we do it? And the answer is we are.
Exactly. Success leaves clues. So I want to hear about you, John. I want to know a little bit about your journey. And I know we could probably talk for like 3 days about this. So I'm going to give you a challenge to give me like the Cliff Note version. Where have you come from to get to where you are now, and what are you up to? Sure.
Well, I originally came from my mummy's tummy.
There we go. We're going right back.
So, I'm known as the positive change guy, right? Because I love personal and professional development, and I talk about these principles all the time. So I got that from my dad, who worked in the corporate arena and went to several seminars back in the day, and he would share some of his insights with me as a kid. And as a kid, I didn't get them as much as I do as an adult, or I heard them, but they didn't really resonate with me. Yeah. Like he told us that one of the best things you can do in the morning is look yourself in the eye in the mirror and say, I'm the greatest, I'm going to have a great day, right? And as a 8-9-year-old, that didn't really resonate with me, but it does today. That self-talk and looking at yourself in the eye and giving yourself a positive affirmation is the point there. But I went to a seminar back in the 90s called Metaphysical Mastery, and that was with Louise Hay, Deepak Chopra, Wayne Dyer, and a few of the greats. James Redfield, author of Celestine Prophecy. And I was sitting in an arena of about 15,000 people, and Wayne Dyer at the time was talking, and all of a sudden it just felt like I was the only person in the arena, and I got goosebumps, and it was really clear the message. What happened to me then was, that's what I need to be doing. Wow. I need to be on stage, keynote speaking, explaining these principles of personal and self-development for people to be able to live their best lives. So I had this epiphany way back then, and I've been on this journey ever since. So when I hear something that makes a difference to me, my first thought is about applying it to myself. My second one is, I want to share it, and how come everyone doesn't know this? And a few examples are, every emotion is preceded by a thought. That was mind-blowing when I heard that. Amazing. Talked about words creating your world. Yeah. Thoughts are the energy behind the physical, right? So let's exclude nature. Everything, if you look around yourself, me, listeners, when you look around, everything you see was first someone else's thought. So that means you can create something in the world with your mind and with your thoughts, because that's how things start to be created. Right? I didn't learn this at school, but when I found out these principles and how I can apply it, it just literally blew my mind. And the big one that I love to share with people is there's two aspects to being human. One is your circumstances, and the other one is the conversation you are about your circumstances. Ooh. But the quality of your life depends more on the conversations that you are about your circumstances than your actual circumstances. So I know we don't have time to unpack that probably today, but for the listeners, just have a think about that and see if that can resonate in some way for yourself. And what conversation are you about your circumstances? Because the exact same thing can happen to two different people, and one may look at it as an opportunity, and one may go down a rabbit hole of darkness about it. And I'm not saying either reaction is valid is invalid, but if you want to be high performance and go where you want to go, there's the conversation you are about your circumstances, to be aware of that and then to choose and have the power of choice. That's empowering, and for me that takes me where I want to go.
Incredibly empowering. Incredibly. I remember I'm flooded by memories right now of, I used to work for Tony Robbins, and I was back in the day in my 20s in San Diego in the States, and one of his seminar rooms, I think it was Unleash the Power Within, which is his weekend event. And I was sitting in the room, and he was like, you have the power to choose your life, to choose what you think. And he was similarly to what you're saying. And you're not taught this in school, as you said. And I had this epiphany moment. I was like, oh my God, really? I can choose? And it was this like light bulb moment of the fact that we literally can choose the conversations we have. And I love what you said. I've never heard it said in that way, where based on our circumstances, we can actually have different conversations around what's happened to us in the past, and beautifully articulated. So thank you.
Thank you. I love the simplicity of there's two aspects to being human: your circumstances and the conversation you are about your circumstances. That's it.
Brilliant. Were you, so you I know you're a keynote speaker, and we'll get into more about how you specifically help people. Before you came across this path and being in the room with Wayne Dyer, what were you doing before that?
It's a great question. I'm just wondering how far to go back. Because back then I was in my early 20s, and I always had a interest in business.
Yeah.
And so straight after school, I worked in a bank because I thought that was a great way to get a bit of business knowledge. And back then you could be a teller and all that kind of stuff. And so I did all of that. I was on the cash, as they say. Yeah. And from there, I moved to the Australian Stock Exchange and worked in their finance department, which was an amazing, big eye-opener. Yeah. Not enough time for this story, but I'll tell you another time, the time where I had a $32 million and the bank teller said, who would you like that check made out to? I didn't say John Merkus, but for a split second I thought, could I live in Brazil?
Yeah, right. Wow.
Anyway, from there I got a flair for the computer systems, and so I ended up getting a diploma in programming technology. So I was actually a developer and a programmer for a while.
Interesting.
And people go, John, I can't believe that you're an IT geek. But I loved it. And so I ended up working for a software solutions company and becoming a director and a shareholder of that company. I guess they could see my enthusiasm, my drive and my spark. And I helped that become a Microsoft solution provider. So I was driven from a young age and had some opportunities, whether, I put myself there or because of my attitude or whatnot, these things came towards me. So I was that was my start of my working career. Then I got into IT training and I started to look at the people side of IT. And then from there, got a change management certification because I realised if I want to be in IT projects, the longevity of it is looking after the people side of change from the very beginning to the very end. So the training is just the middle part of that, right? Yeah. So that's how I became a change manager in the corporate world, and that fits, and I still do some work in that area today, as well as my speaking and etc. and podcasts or whatever. But that's my kind of journey into the people side of things. So all that personal development and business development has all fed into how I am today. So I explained about the Epiphany moment, but before that was my life. So I've had a very, very fortunate life, and I feel very grateful.
Wow. I love evolution stories because, every single person is so different with their past and the wisdom that you have gained along the way. And that's why I wanted to dive a little bit deeper into where you came from. And that's fascinating that your brain is initially was a programmer's brain and then what you're doing now. And wow, what a wealth of knowledge. So thank you for sharing your journey. And I want to go now to what you do. So you're a speaker. You said you're a keynote speaker. Around your speaking, what else do you do? Do you have programs? Do you work with businesses? What do you do?
Yeah, so I do consult to businesses about the people side of change.
Yeah.
And I'd love to be on stage, 5 days a week, 300 days plus a year. Getting there, not quite there yet, but I do like the consulting side of my business as well. So I'm a change management consultant on the people side of change, and I bring in my personal development principles, sometimes under the radar, but I always bring them in.
Smart move, John.
I always bring them in. Yeah, I'm not sitting in the corporate in boardrooms going, okay, everyone, let's tell me the 2 things you're grateful for today. Not initially anyway. I might over time or in a one-on-one, but not in the boardroom to start with. Yeah. And I have a mindset meditation app because people ask me, they say, John, you talk about mindset all the time. We get that we want to have a positive, optimistic mindset that works for high-performance teams, but how do I cultivate and sustain one? So how to do that is by exposing yourself on a consistent daily basis with positive messages and upping your mindset game. And to do that, I've got several meditations in that app. Now, they're reasonably short. It's all my voice. So if you like hearing my voice now, you'll like the Mindset Meditation app. I'm growing it every month, so there's 10 meditations on there at the moment.
Nice.
And it's been wonderful for me personally as well to create that, and I listen back to them as well. So there's a sleep enhancement meditation. It's big. I know a lot of people have challenges in that area, so I'll deeply relax the listener, and I will use calming imagery and affirmations as well, so you'll kind of feel great as well. I've got a stress and anxiety relief meditation. So if you're feeling a bit stressed, even in the middle of the day, you could put this on for 15 minutes and I guarantee you'll be less stressed after listening to that. I've got a kindness and loving connection meditation. So if you want to feel more connected to people, you can put that one on. One of the ones, and I think your listeners might like this one probably the best, is the Millionaire Mindset Meditation, where I shift people's mindset to focus on financial abundance and prosperity through visualizations and affirmations.
Nice.
It is focused on financial abundance, but it also touches on abundance in all areas of your life. And the last one I'll talk about is the optimism and magnetic leadership meditation. That's for leaders to cultivate an optimistic, inspiring leadership mindset to motivate teams and drive success for yourself and others. So I'm very excited about it. I've done a soft launch with it, so I haven't done the full big launch event and the big marketing campaign yet. That comes next quarter. This quarter, Heather, I'm focusing on one of my big goals, which is to be Australia's representative in the Toastmasters International Speech Competition.
Amazing.
So I've got the area competition coming up next month.
Yeah.
And I'm focusing on, I've written the speech, now I'm focusing on delivering it and rehearsing it. And I'll rehearse it 100 times minimum in the mirror before I deliver it.
Yeah.
So there's a tip for people there that are concerned about public speaking. If you know your material and you've rehearsed it, You don't have nerves before you go, and you have excitement. You can't wait to deliver it. So I'm digressing. I'm going everywhere.
No, I
there,
love
so.
it though. I know we're getting to know you, and no, thank you. Give me a case study. Talk to me about however you want to take this. I want to know how somebody has come to you, what you've helped them with, and sort of a before and a after of working with you.
Yeah, no problem. One of the big things I'm about is, am I allowed to swear?
Yes.
Oh, good. So, I like to have fun and get shit done, right?
Yeah,
and I say to myself that all the time, right? Because as human beings, we can get significant about things, or we can get wound up or caught up, and we forget things. We forget, all the great things that are either happening in our lives or the things that we've done in the past. We're really good at not celebrating our successes and just moving forward, where it's really important to celebrate those successes along the way. I was engaged with Telstra, the massive communications corporation,
Yeah.
to assist with changing their ways of working.
Wow. Big feat.
Yeah, because it's a large organisation. Historically, it was a government organisation, and then it's moved on to private, but there's still various different sectors of how they work in that organisation. And one of the things I realised and I came on as the people side of change, as a change manager for that ways of working. So there were ways of working that were educated and that I wouldn't say prescribed, but there were 6 principles that they wanted people to adhere to. And I noticed there wasn't a whole lot of fun in that process. So
Wow.
I created the Lego challenge, where I had 5 teams of 6 people each in each team, so 30 people, and they made a moon base out of Lego. And they had to collaborate, they had to communicate, and I facilitated it, so they had fun while they were getting the job done. And the lessons that they learned doing that hands-on experience were invaluable. So as someone would have an insight and go, oh, I didn't realise that my agenda and backlog is totally different to this other team's, because each team was responsible for a different part of the moon base. You might have transportation, you might have health and well-being. So they all had a brief so they all had their mission, and they had to somehow integrate that with everyone else's team to be able to reach the common goal of building a moon base out of Lego. We did that in 2.5 hours, and these things were massive, right? Wow. People loved it because often adults haven't played with Lego for years.
No.
And so it was interesting, it was fun. People came into the room going, oh, well, there's all this Lego around. We actually had a lot of people taking the Lego home because we had little minifigures. they wanted to take the Lego because they loved it so much. And at the end of a session like that, I would say to people, if we didn't break you in teams, prepare you rightly, show you how to work in a way of working, but then gave you a bit of autonomy as well as to, now you know this, how do you think your team should work? Then went through those processes and talked about the mindsets along the way. If we hadn't done that, do you think you could have built this in 2.5 hours? And 100% everyone said, there's no way. There's no way. Imagine if you got 30 people in a room and said, here's your Lego, here's your brief, you got 2.5 hours, go for it. Yeah. So that was a way of where a case study where I've worked with a client where we had fun and got shit done.
In a short amount of time. And I love the fun aspect. I'm glad you brought that up as well. People get so serious, I don't know, something happens like where you forget to have curiosity and playfulness as you get older. So how fun. That's a brilliant case study. I want to change gears a little bit, and I want to talk about the future. The future of resilience, of change, perhaps of fun, working with people. Your industry, what you do. What do you think the future holds?
Well, I think the positive change and personal and professional development industry has never been more important than it is in 2025 and beyond. And I think this is going to be one of the best year for people, and for people especially that embrace change and want to learn and grow. So as human beings, we are wired to be safe, right? Because when you boil it all down, survival of the species is really important to us. It's in our DNA. Whether we acknowledge that or realise that as we're going through life or not. So when we are safe, we get this feeling of, we're going to survive. Now, the other part of being a human is more than just surviving. It's thriving and growing so we can evolve and what I call be your best self, right? So if you invest in yourself with time, and often it takes money, and I know sometimes it's hard for people to invest in themselves and with money. It's okay to, buy something for your kids or do whatever, or look at as you say, the next shiny thing. But how about investing in yourself with time or money? Doesn't necessarily have to be a lot of money or a lot of time, but you need to invest in yourself to reap the rewards. And so I think, pardon me, so I think people that do that are going to have their best year yet. And one of the challenges, you mentioned it early on, is people in business adapting to the technological change.
Yeah.
Could be AI, it could be something else, but I know AI is massive at the moment. So I think there's going to be a greater emphasis on emotional intelligence, resilience, and mindset, because the leaders of tomorrow and today, they need to lead with empathy, focus on mental well-being, and help their teams thrive. And that's why I think the industry that I'm in is going to have a bright future. See, because AI is a tool, right? It's like a doctor has a scalpel. It can be useful or could not be useful depending on how you use it, right? But that doesn't negate the fact that we're human beings. We like and want that human connection. And I know sometimes technology takes us away from that, but if we use technology as a tool, and it can be a tool to enhance our lives, absolutely no drama about that. There's a myth about AI. I've gone down the AI path a little bit, was only because it's massive, and I knew that there'd be some clients that might ask me about, what's your take on AI and how you're using it, and how can we, because I'm in the people side of change, a lot of organisations and people are trying to work out how do we change with this technology in a way that's empowering to our business and to our individuals. The myth about AI is that you're going to be able to sit up on your desk with your feet up and everything's just going to happen for you. It's like when personal computers first came in, right? I was a young boy at the time, but people thought, we're going to have all this free time and we're not going to need to do this and this. The fact is, we do more.
True.
We absolutely do more. So this technology that's coming like a tsunami, or it's already here in a lot of ways, as we know, it will help you do more, and it's a tool for you. It won't help you do less, but we still need that human connection. There's no way in the world myself, and maybe others, I don't want to speak for others, are going to watch a robot delivering stand-up comedy. We want to see a human being with that human connection, with their stories, with their ups and downs, and making us laugh. That's one example of how it won't replace a lot of that human connection, that human resilience, that personal development side of things. That's why I think for my industry and embracing change and also personal and professional development, I think it's going to be an absolute marvellous year, and I'm very optimistic about the future.
I would completely agree with you. I mean, we're in this era of anxiety and disconnect and loneliness, and AI is just going to come in and create, in some ways, even more of that. And I think you're right. People are starting to return to community and looking at how do I stay connected to others. And we're forgetting how. That's what's strange. So I totally believe in what you're saying. Now more than ever, what you do is going to be what people need the most. So exciting for where you're headed for sure. John, as we start to wrap up, where do people find out more about you? You mentioned your meditation app. So what's that called? Let's start with that.
Yeah, that's called the Fluid Reality Mindset Meditation app. So fluid reality because reality is fluid, and also reminds me of water. Water always finds a way and is always moving forward. So that's why it's called the Fluid Reality Mindset Meditation app. Now, it's 50% off at the moment. It's so dirt cheap. It's like the price of a cup of coffee a month, right? So for those meditations. So if you go to johnmerkus.com, so my surname's Merkus, and it's John, John, so johnmerkus.com, it pops up straight away, and you can get 50% off that, which means that it's $4 a month.
Ridiculous.
So you can have my voice with all those meditations. I add 2 extra ones every month, so in case you've heard the same one for a while and you want something different, but that millionaire mindset one, that's the most popular one based on the stats. I've just thrown one in there just the other day, and it's a walking one, so you don't have to always be with your eyes closed doing a body relaxation first. This one is, you're doing a walk, you pop in your headphones, and I'll tell you how great you are for 15 minutes. So this is where, you can get those positive messages and affirmations coming to you from the outside.
Yeah.
And I found that to be very, very beneficial. So what I'm getting at is there's varied ones. So there's something for everyone in there. And it's 50% off at the moment, and for $4 a month, if your listeners would like to go there, I'd love to have them on board in the Fluid Reality app.
Love it, you guys. And of course, as always, there's going to be links in our show notes. As we start to wrap up, and you're thinking about the future of where we're headed, and the listeners who've tuned in, and they're thinking, I have so much on my plate, I have so much to do, there's so much change ahead. Do you have any last words of advice for them?
I so do, Heather.
I knew you would, and I'm really waiting for this last one, by the way, too. So unleash.
Well, my last, let me get this right. My last piece of advice would be to embrace change as an opportunity for growth, not a challenge to overcome. Right? And focus on building resilience. Stay optimistic, and remember, you have the tools inside you to thrive no matter what comes your way. So take action today. Show up for yourself and try and be your best self. There's no imposter syndrome. If your best self is a person that wakes up early, does exercise, does the right things, has a positive mindset and do that, that's your best self, right? And that's important to know. Your best self is something that you want to strive for. You're not necessarily your best self every day. But if you're not being your best self, don't beat yourself up. Get back on the horse the next day. Look at how can I be my best self, and take those actions all the time. Every day. Those increments are so important. Don't forget the present moment, as we talked about before.
Yeah.
Some mantra I use sometimes, especially if I'm feeling a bit significant or I feel like I'm getting a bit stressed. You can feel that in your body, can't you, when you feel like you're getting a bit stressed, and it's a bit of a red flag or a warning sign. I say to myself, present moment, beautiful moment. Just 4 words. It gets me back and grounds me. And a great expression I've heard, wherever your hands are, be there.
It's gold.
For God's sake, have some fun along the way. If you need some fun and you don't know how to generate it, instead of watching social media and seeing all the negative stuff, do a search for stand-up comedian, funny jokes today. Whatever it is, give yourself a laugh, because if you don't laugh every day, you're missing out.
Oh, I love it. I knew you were somehow going to weave fun into this last advice. So thank you. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks for sharing really great little tangible takeaways. Guys, you want to check out that app. Yeah, you have a great voice. And I was going to say that at the start. So no surprise you have meditations. Thanks, John. I really appreciate it.
Absolute pleasure, Heather. And you keep staying awesome.